Title of our MOOC is Sustainability in Motion and Your Role in Global Goals. So I'm Owen Fury. I'm a lecturer and a computer scientist working in Atlantic Technology University in Ireland. Today we're going to talk about particularly the environmental sustainable development goals, ones with a key impact in that, namely 6, 7, 13, 14 and 15. And you'll know all about these as I go on. So a bit of an overview of what we're going to talk about in the next 20 minutes or so, how these key environmental SDGs work, some of the current trends, what's happening, how this impacts in a multidisciplinary way, drivers and barriers of change, stopping and starting, what's keeping it going and preventing it from working, some of the ultimate costs if we don't do this or what we think might happen. Then the concept of sustainability by design and how this can work for you and you build your own personal sustainability roadmap. Then we'll give you a little bit of homework to do, a little practical assignment. But I hope you enjoy this. Section 1 of the MOOC is going to focus on these key environmental SDGs and what they are, looking particularly at 6, 7, 13, 14 and 15 and what these numbers actually mean. So you can see from this diagram that there's lots of links between the Sustainable Development Goals. And while we're not talking about them all here, you can see that they do impact common areas. On the left, we've got some environmental related pressures, which might be to our health and well-being, our economy. In the world's economy, a lot of this is linked in varying different ways. And on the right, we're trying to protect and conserve and enhance even the EU's natural capita, the things that we actually have within nature. So the first one of these we want to talk about is clean water and sanitation. So what it aims for is to have universal and equitable access to safe drinking water for the whole world. Hopefully the wastewater treatment can be improved and promote efficient and sustainable management of water, the water resources, freshwater resources we have in the world. Next up, we're thinking about 7, affordable and clean energy. Lovely idea. We're trying to get this for everyone, particularly for underserved regions. Many of us are very fortunate and we have a lot of this. Often others don't. Focus, obviously moving towards renewable energy sources. Take the focus away from fossil fuels. And by doing this, hopefully reduce consumption, even our consumption in our daily lives in the Western world. Many of us use a lot of energy. We don't really even know how much we're using, and therefore lowering carbon emissions. Next one, 13. 13 is climate action. So it's particularly about the climate. Greenhouse gas. We've been hearing about this for many, many years, but mitigation of these emissions, trying to reduce them in varying different ways. The impacts that are coming through climate, how do we adapt to them? What do we do? And promote and teach this stuff. And don't push it on people, but promote and teach it in a different way so that we have better understanding of it. Then going on to 14, which is life below water. Most of the planet's covered in water, and we have to really think about these. It's very polluted in many different areas. Trying to have some sustainable way to manage the ecosystems, that we can do this for a long time. And combating the ocean acidification. Then we go on to 15, life and land. That's where most of us are. And most of the land on Earth is not cities. It surprise you. But these terrestrial ecosystems, nature, how do we conserve that? Combat things like deforestation and desertification. Much of this stuff is getting cut down. There's a lot of resources there that we want. And then try and protect, varying different biodiversity and halt species extinction, because there's a lot of stuff happening. So these goals, all of the SDGs are aspirational. This is what we want to try and move towards, but it's important to keep these in mind and see how you, in your future career, you could actually impact this stuff. In section 2, we're going to talk about some of the trends, what's been happening in relation to these sustainable development goals, the particular ones that we're focusing on. We'll also look at some of the challenges with each of them. These could be relevant to your future careers and even things that you don't think of at the moment. You might have an impact down the line. So the first one we're thinking of is clean water and sanitation. Okay. Been a lot of work trying to happen with this. A lot of good stuff and using a lot of pretty interesting technologies. Things like the Internet of Things, varying different sensors, some data analytics, and trying to, optimize and monitor water usage around the world. So this is a nice idea. However, some of the challenges, pollution for areas, they don't have infrastructure to deal with this stuff. They still don't even have safe drinking water and adequate sanitation, let alone being able to monitor just exactly how much they're using. So there's some more basic things that need to be dealt with there. Thinking of renewable energy growth, okay, and in the Western world we see a lot of this. We see a lot of these windmills all over the place. It's good. It's good stuff happening. So loads of global growth in this: offshore wind, onshore wind, solar power as well. A lot of good stuff happening. However, as always, massive inequalities around the world. Okay, fossil fuels are still the key area in some region, and at the moment they don't really have that much choice, despite the best ideas in the world. And infrastructure, don't have proper grid infrastructure around the world. Climate action then kind of brings a lot of these together. Okay, there's global commitments, Paris Agreement. Many countries sat down and all agreed and signed up that they were going to try and do something about this. Different mechanisms for pricing stuff that uses carbon, and I suppose net zero targets. However, they don't all work together. Still don't work together. Reduction in emissions been slow. They're not going to meet these targets of 2030. And then the vulnerable communities, they don't have funding to do this stuff. Not to mention things like wars and different parts of the world which have a major impact on this stuff. Protecting our oceans. Okay, so much increased awareness of this has been around for a long time. A lot of advertisements of certain things happening. Many people are aware of things like plastics and overfishing. And the marine protected areas, these have been expanded a lot. This is a good thing. However, illegal fishing, weak governance in international waters, who actually owns that, even within ones that are supposed to be governed, there's still ongoing problems at all times. Then the biodiversity and the land use that we have everywhere, and this is SDG 15 about life on land. So there are movements to try and reforest areas, plant more stuff again, various conservation methods, and different policies governments will bring out to try and protect this stuff. But again, it's very difficult. This stuff is going away. It's happening. The countries often where it's happening, the people are poor, and the people don't have much choice, and they do this stuff, and the chance of, do you want to do this and then live, or do you want to protect things down the line? It takes a long time to get through to these people. A multidisciplinary approach is required to make any kind of realistic progress here. To actually get through these SDGs and realistically do something about them requires many different fields to come together, and hopefully we get impactful and comprehensive solutions from this. So looking at the diagram we have here, it kind of lays it out quite well. The top, these aren't necessarily in this order, but they're all relevant. Public engagement and advocacy from certain groups. They need to push it, and they need to convince the public. Not all the public is convinced of these. Not all the public is convinced of the need for the Sustainable Development Goals. Many are actively work against them. Lean into things like social and cultural practices. Maybe they're in some areas around the world, they like their big engined vehicles. Changing that can take a bit of time. And recent failures and things with some of the electric vehicles, there's been a lot of problems with those, their rollout. Technology and innovation, this can improve things. It can improve things for some people. For many others, it's still out of reach. If things are much, much dearer, they're less likely to actually use them. Economics of all of this stuff, how do we actually do it? Because people are going to lose money when they change, and that takes a long time to do. So there needs to finance some of these different efforts in different ways, or create subsidies, which come from the governments. And they need to change some of their policies, and many of them are very slow to do this. Many of the most powerful countries in the world are not doing this. They might talk about it a bit, but they don't want to impact their own competitiveness. So we've got to be realistic about this stuff. Science and research can do a lot of this, and they can impact a lot, and they can help in a lot of different ways. But often the problem, it's not just a clever little technological solution. You need to look at it in broader terms and try and fix people's basic needs often before they move on. Thinking about the particular drivers of change and even barriers to change, and there are many of these in relation to these Sustainable Development Goals. Varying different, economic aspects, policy, technology, we can all influence progress in this. So there's a number of different examples here. into each of the different goals. Just something for you to think about. This stuff's covered in more detail in the accompanying notes. The clean water and sanitation, population growth, particularly in many of the poorer countries of the world. This is going up a lot. Technological innovation can help, and policy and governance in countries that have big populations that have these problems, and also they're still struggling to feed them and things like that. Economic development, for a lot of these, it's slow coming. Okay, countries that are more developed, it might be a little bit easier to do this. The affordable and clean energy, again, technology is giving us more, probably reducing it, but there's a lot of pressures to make profit in these areas. Policy, again, can influence that. Economics incentive to do something, to use kind of renewable sources and things like that. And then the market demand. There's a demand for these things. Sometimes they can help. They can help reduce it, but people just want their energy at the start. Many of the areas within climate action, we're pushing this stuff. Greenhouse gas was talked about a lot. Policies, big agreements around the world, changing this. Public awareness is improving. And, they are learning more about it. And programs like this, or even yourself in your own careers, these can help. And then economic shifts are going roundabout, which can move towards these things. But there's still a lot of work to do. Then think about life below water. Marine pollution, lots of this, overfishing, these things are realities. This is the real world we're in. Climate change, differences things that have been there before. This is also kind of raising public awareness. And the conservation efforts, there are many, and there are many, many good ones out there trying to do things. And this notion of the blue economy, where things are related to the sea and the industries about that. A lot of efforts going on there. Life on land, as mentioned before, deforestation, huge swathes of things like the rainforest getting cut down, biodiversity, species disappearing every day, climate, and trying to come into sustainable agriculture things, but not just the one per farmer down there. This is the mass, the high level stuff. And the policy can impact that too. Some of the barriers of this, complex to get around this. Not impossible, but it's complex. As well as economic, political factors, environmental factors, all have an impact. Infrastructure. We talk about nice, clean water and stuff like that, but many sub-Saharan African communities, they don't have basic water and sanitation. Limited funds, technical skills, they can restrict infrastructure development, but it's not just that. They need money. They need help if they're going to actually do this stuff. Political and institutional challenges are huge. The major countries in the world, many of them are not really doing this. They're not really trying. Also things like, can lead to be part of a problem in bigger areas. Like the River Jordan, they've been arguing over that and fighting over that for a long time, and fighting about water and that, not just about other things that are used. Governance, hard to do it. Sometimes it's weak for varying different reasons. It's not always that simple. Independence on fossil fuels. We use the example here about, China and India. Many of the people are not wealthy. Okay, these things, they give them some kind of affordable energy, even if the emissions are high. So change into these things, there's a lot required, a lot of investment needed, and this takes time. Political resistance, huge amounts, met from the US, from other countries like that in the world. In the Paris Agreement, the US withdrew from it. Okay, massive lobbies from the fossil fuel industries, oil and gas. They're going to lose, or they think they're going to lose when this is going to happen. Complexity of these barriers. There are a lot of different things. Global coordination is difficult. We're not one government around the world. We're a group of individual countries. Commitments aren't even right across the way. The differences. Economic differences are one of the main things. Countries are poor. This is a nice to have. This is not a necessity for them. Pollution, the marine stuff, another example of this, Great Pacific garbage patch, the huge amount of rubbish floating around there. Remember, the Pacific covers nearly half of the ocean, or half of the planet. For waste management, put it in there, floats away. Many don't see it. And global regulations on a global scale are difficult, and they're not taken up by everybody. The deforestation stuff all over, impacting, clearing it to grow things, clearing it for different reasons, clearing it for timber. Diversity, is impacted, yes, and so are carbon levels. Economic pressures. Again, many of these people are poor, and there's lots of reasons to do that. Also, with the law enforcement is a bit weak, and they sign up for an idea, but it doesn't always happen. Wildlife trade, things like that, we're still trying to protect the animals, but poaching, things are still, there's a lot of kind of demand for that, and some of these things like the elephants and rhinos and that are risking extinction. Again, enforcement's difficult. Corruption's huge. Corruption is a reality of the world, and it happens all over the world. Then invasive species as well. Other things in common. Examples of this zebra mussel disrupting ecosystems in North America and similar ones elsewhere. They can affect the large reservoir. The largest reservoir in Northern Ireland is full of one of these things at the moment. A big problem. These things aren't managed that well, because managing them often knocks into somebody's own interest. So these are difficult to come around. Not impossible, but difficult. So what happens? What happens ultimately if we don't do something about these things? And many of these things are dangled around, and some of them look a bit scary or dystopian and things like that, but in theory, a lot of these things could happen. So if we don't meet, say, 7 and 13, energy, what's going to happen to our energy? Insecurity, economic loss, continued reliance on fossil fuels, energy volatility, wars over this stuff. Developing nations are still always at the bottom. Can't expand out these renewable energy options, then energy poverty is a thing. And some of those poor regions, this is pie in the sky for them. It's far too far away. Fires, we see a lot more of this in the TV. There's a big push. There's a big push to highlight this stuff as well. Climate disasters. Seems to be more of these, areas drying out and things that appear to happen for a long time. And the floods and things like that. They do seem to be happening more often now. Lots of money. It costs a lot of money to fix these things, the damage from them. Temperatures appear to be rising. And there's a lot of research on this. Not all great research. There's a lot of research on it. Trying to push these things, and think that there could be a lot of problems from this area. And for a lot of people, this is really far away. It's really far away, and we will be realistic about this. It's really far away for most people, and they don't consider it like that. But these are the ultimate things that could happen. Thinking then about our oceans. Most of us, if you don't live beside the ocean, you're not really in touch with it. The ecosystems, the marine ones, can collapse. Pollution, plastic, global food security. The oceans provide an awful lot of our food. The biodiversity then is impacted by this stuff. Habitat disappearing. Where all these different varying things are. We see a lot of these images. We've been seeing these for the rainforest, particularly around the Amazon, for many number of years. What's going to happen? What happens if it goes away? They talk about the Amazon rainforest being the lungs of the planet. Soil degradation, agricultural yields. Ultimately, this could knock into this. We don't have soil to grow things on. There's a concept called sustainability by design. This is quite similar to other concepts we have that are very popular in computing, things like, security by design or privacy by design. These things are thought right the way through products and in computing terms, it's software, but in this case, it's things that we are creating. So what exactly is this? There's a nice definition there. Proactive approach, integrating sustainability principles into the design of products, services, systems, policies, put it right the way through. And this notion of sustainability is not just the green stuff. Enabling things to be able to be kept going at all times. Hoping to minimize some kind of environmental, social, and economic impacts, but do this from the start. A number of concepts in this. Life cycle thinking about the life cycle of whatever it is that you're creating, right the way through, from the raw materials coming out to the disposal at the end, hoping to minimize environmental impacts. Examples of this, the car batteries and things like this. This is one of the challenges that people have. They think, well, where's the stuff coming from? And these are real considerations. Cradle to cradle design, what they call it, mimicking the human body, where nutrients are reused again. Hopefully products can be, reusable, recyclable. We've been doing a lot of this stuff now. Hopefully biodegradable. They don't sit in landfill forever. And being efficient with our resource usage. Not wasting energy, and finding maybe this is where we can find technology can help us find newer and improved ways to do things during the production. And we need systemic change in this. We need changes right the way through, and this is changes to a huge amount of areas. And some of the areas that you were going to work in or maybe already work in, a holistic approach to thinking about the whole thing. Hopefully that the things that we're doing, the solutions or the products, they'll fit into this larger systems, like what we call the circular economies, where things go right the way through. Some of the benefits of this stuff, obviously environmental, and reduce this carbon footprint that we're always talking about, and we're always hearing about, and waste, efficiency, long-term savings, and the longer-term savings are things that some people just have a challenge with, but it can be done. It's like solar panels, which will take a long time to pay back. Great if you have enough money to buy the solar panels at the start. For other people, this is still a long way off. Not impossible, but it's a while away. The reputation of things that go and can build some trust, and there's a whole movement of, these eco-conscious consumers who actually want this type of stuff. Not everyone is like this, but I did have a niece who wanted some, eco-friendly trainers for her present. And then the impacts of this. Will there be fair labour and ethical practices? Can we do that? Things that will be sustained and aren't just taking advantage of people. Some examples, green buildings. Again, generally a first world thing at the moment, but eventually they will get in there. Energy efficiency and good materials in there. Circular products, some kind of modular design, reuse and recycling, that these things can be, used again and put on out. And they do this in data centers and they do it in different places around the world. There's a lot happening with it. Packaging, some stuff, all the plastics and things that everything's packaged in. What can we do with these things? How do we recycle them? So what can you do? This is what we're really getting for. This is for you to do something in your career. Hopefully create some kind of a personal sustainability roadmap for yourself, for your own future career. So how do you go about that? Well, wherever you are, where you are now in your career, maybe where you go into in the future, current situations, assess what's happening at the moment in your own industry, look at the varying different sustainability challenges, the opportunities might be there, define your personal goals, and often you can need a bit of help with this to figure out, what do you want to do, how do you want to impact the stuff, and clear objectives, and this is what the exercise will help you do. In the short term, medium term, and long term, we're not going to solve the problems overnight, and you're not going to change the world overnight. You've got to be realistic. Still, yet you can do a lot of stuff. Maybe some skills. Maybe you need to improve your skills. Doing this course is helping. Think about different type of educational way. There are certifications in this stuff. All industries are being impacted by this stuff. Leadership, you can take on leadership role within an organization. Maybe eventually things come up. Keep yourself updated with what's happening in your industry. Is this something your company could do? Because companies will have to do this. Governments will make them do this. And then look for varying different opportunities. Maybe where you're working at the moment doesn't have a lot. Maybe there'll be other places down the line that you could opt to go for if you got an opportunity. Maybe there's some internal initiatives within your company. Ideally, you want to integrate this sustainability idea into your role where you can. You can advocate for this stuff in your current job. Not everyone will agree, but you can push it and keep the conversation going because it's coming. The stuff isn't going away. Longer term impacts. How do you monitor this stuff? Well, continuing on from where we were before, milestones, create ones that you're going to look for, track progress. The idea of kind of SMART goals. This is one way of doing it. Some goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. Ways realistic. Basically means things that you can actually do it. You can monitor what you're doing, look for feedback, adjust as it goes. Maybe you're in an organization that isn't really into it at the moment. They will be, probably. Maybe you're not going to do the change there, but maybe there's a better place for you. You got to think about this. This is thinking about your own career. We're trying to be realistic here. Network, collaborate. Loads of different people doing this stuff. There are sustainability networks out there. You can go and find ones. Industry events, workshops. This is the real world. This stuff is happening. Green teams. Yeah, these have been about for a while. But, there can be different stuff. You can work with a few colleagues to do it. There are, rewards out there. There can be prizes and competitions and things that could be useful for your own career as well. Looking at the kind of legacy projects, the ones that are going to go on for a long time. Different performance indicators, carbon reduction, waste management. You see a lot of the stuff, things like schools are doing this already, but companies will do it too. And then longer term vision. We're supposed to be thinking about this for a long time. The idea is that we share the planet. That's going to take a while to do these things. But what projects could be there? Might make a lasting contribution and change things a lot. We have an assignment for you. I did say at the start that there might be some homework. And rather than just looking at this stuff, it's useful to try and actually do something with it. It's where you get some benefit out of it. And you won't just have to sit here and listen to me for a little while. So what we want you to do is consider how a roadmap for your own career might look like, your own personal career. We have a couple of steps, and we have an example for this as well. So we have a case study. There's a case study linked with this about someone called Alex. Okay, recently graduated mechanical engineer and working for a small engineering firm. So this talks about, his own sustainability roadmap and how the aligns with different, in this case, European regulatory alignment. We outlined this. It's outlined in there. So I want you to read it and think about it. Some of the things you might think, that won't work, but maybe not in this area, or maybe not in the company that you're in. How could you follow a similar path in your current area, or maybe in your future area, in your future career? You're going to be using this for a long time. Think what regulations would be applicable in your domain. What would be there, and then try and create one of these for yourself. Just try it. It's an exercise. It does not have to be perfect. Okay? You can download this case study, read it, analyze it up to a point, and it's okay if you find some that you think, no, that bit wouldn't work for me. Take the bits that you think would work to start with. And then download the template. Take the template and try and create your own roadmap. You have to start somewhere, and it's going to help you along the journey if we give you certain things to go and look for and look in your own industry or the industry that you might work in. It doesn't have to be perfect. Very key, this does not have to be perfect. It's not perfect homework. Okay? Designed to get you thinking, to make you thinking about these, particularly these sustainability SDGs, the ones we've talked about in here, how they might be relevant. They won't all be relevant all the time, but some of them will. There'll be very different aspects to it. So how is this going to impact your career in the future? There will be a lot of opportunities with this. There'll be a lot of drivers and things to push it within your own organization and your own career as well. It's not just the UN, nice, lofty world goals. Okay, one's actually within your career. So have a go with this. Okay, it'd be an interesting exercise for you, and I hope you enjoy it. Let us conclude this little journey through these environmental SDGs, the numbers of ones that we looked at. Thinking about these, the importance of them, that's what really this was about. Okay, and personal actions, things that you can do. Okay, so the topic has got this urgent need for action. Okay, some people think it's more urgent than others, but it's out there. Some people haven't bought in yet. That's okay, but this will impact everything. Life on below water, life on land. We've got to preserve the planet. It's our planet. We've got to take care of it and make it sustainable for our children in the future. Climate change, biodiversity, pollution, resource, these are all going to impact every aspect of life. It might not be completely immediate for you, but it will happen. We have a global responsibility. We share this. Governments, businesses, they have a big responsibility. They're supposed to lead the way. They're all playing a crucial role, but individuals are too, achieving a way towards these goals. Big efforts are needed, large-scale efforts, but your own personal contributions have an impact as well. So I'd ask you to go and try and create your own personal roadmap. Look at the example we've given and go through it. Try and create stuff for yourself. We all have power to change things if you believe and if you go towards it. And even if you're not completely sold on it now, it's not going away. It's going to be more and more of this stuff. So you got to keep working towards it and try and consider it. Consider these sustainable practices and, what choices you're going to make. Some of your personal choices, but even choices for your organization and company and how you can impact these things in relation to things like, energy use, consumption, waste. So the idea of this course is that you will empower yourself. Okay? Empower yourself, your future self possibly. Start small. We're not going to change the world overnight. Start small. Okay, do something reasonable, some clear goals, build a roadmap that hopefully lead on to more sustainable lifestyle. Things that you can do or things that you can impact now within reason. Many of us, depends where you're watching this from, many of us are fortunate enough to be in the Western world and we have a lot of advantages. And there's a lot of things that we can do and there's a lot of things we do that aren't sustainable. other people in less more disadvantaged areas, they have other things that they're dealing with first. But hopefully we need change right through, and it will build in as time goes on. So be positive about this. Be confident. Look at them as, challenges in a good way, not challenges in a bad way. Things that you can do, and things together. Hopefully we can all we can create a healthier planet. So thank you. Thank you very much for your attention for this. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you got something out of it. And do go and do consider it like homework. Consider it as an opportunity. Just think about the future. These are things employers want, and they can be useful for interviews and useful for your further career when you've thought about this stuff. Thank you.